Hi, this is Odeean. Today I'm having a look at Art Feather Bumblebee. So the first thing I notice is that the presentation of this box is really professional looking, and I really had to take a second thought when I first saw the pre-orders go up on this, whether this was a real Transformers product or not, because you can see this huge Autobot logo printed on the front of the box. It's really kind of deceptive, but I'm pretty sure this is a third-party, unlicensed product. Even the little line art of Bumblebee on the side there, focus, there we go, is I think taken directly from some kind of Hasbro media, because I've seen this picture before. On the back there's not much going on, but on the inside we have a kind of bookcase opening, which is really beautiful display if you want to keep Bumblebee in his packaging. A bunch of screen grabs ripped straight off the G1 Transformers cartoon, and even the picture. I think I've seen this picture before in some of IDW's work, so they've gone full out in their ripping off when it comes to this one. Let's get the toy out and have a look. We get a few things in the box. First we get this sticker sheet, which has Autobot symbols all over it. I've already applied most of these stickers, that's why they're gone. We get this little booklet, nothing special here. We all know how to transform Bumblebee, but it does show you where the stickers were intended to be applied, which I found useful. Apart from that, we have a glossy credit card thickness character card for Bumblebee, and on the back a little bit of a tech spec with the line art of his face again. Very thick. We also got a coin, so you can see on the coin it says Transformers, and it's got the Autobot symbol and the word Autobot printed underneath it, and on the back the line art for Bumblebee. The Bumblebee toy himself in car mode looks pretty good. I've heard a lot of people complaining about inconsistencies in plastic colour, and I do have a few problems with that in robot mode, but in car mode those inconsistencies only really show through in this tiny bit of darker yellow plastic on the bonnet. The rest of the car is pretty much the same colour. You can see inside that the seats that fold up in the real classics Bumblebee can't fold up. They can go up a bit more than this, but they're pretty stiff, but they're never going to reach an upright position because they touch the roof. That's a pretty minor complaint. There's a nice use of chrome on the bumpers, chrome and see-through plastic on these lights. It's very crisp and well painted when it comes to the paintwork on the windshield wipers, and there isn't really any overspray when you look at this see-through plastic that's been painted bright yellow. It's done in a really sharp way. I've got to give credit to them for that, because there'd been some pictures floating around of less than stellar versions of this, but it seems that the production one that at least I've got is produced top notch when it comes to that. One area where there is bad problems is this wheel. You can see on the back that we get a kind of free rotation, although I've got to say that's pretty stiff as well. But on the front wheel, the rubber just doesn't quite fit in the cavity under this mud flap, and the wheel has a hard time rolling. So if we want to push the toy along, like you can see, it's going to drag my cardboard along with it. It will not roll. You have to really push it quite hard. You could get some rolling if it was on a wooden table or something. I can't do it in this setup here, but compared to other car Transformers from third parties, this is probably the worst rolling toy that we've got. I'm just going to put on display. That doesn't really bother me. but it might bother you. You can see I've put my Autobot symbols in a couple of locations, and my I Love New York sticker in the back. Okay, I'm not going to show the transformation. We all know the transformation. Let me get this into robot mode. So here's Bumblebee in his robot form, and again the paint is done really well. There's no like if you look in the inside of these doors, that's pretty evenly painted. So I did see those prototype pics on a few websites where that looked like there was a sloppy job done here. This is not sloppy. Perhaps the light was shining through on their photos. Maybe that's the reason it looked a bit sloppy. I'm happy enough with that. I would have liked it better if instead of a matte grey it had been chromed, I think. But, you know, it's adequate. So some of the stickers quite small. You can see in the middle of his head here, this, if I can focus, this little blue dot in the crest is a sticker. There's my Autobot sticker there. He's got some stickers on the knees, here and here, and on the back of his fist, these little triangular stickers. Sorry. Speaking about the fists, one of the new features that Art for the Bumblebee has is that you can remove these fists. I think I'll remove the other one. Remove these fists just by popping them out, and he comes with a couple of alternate hands. So there's like a gesturing open hand. I like that one. For his other side, he's got this thumbs up. Not so fond of that one. I like to keep his gun in this hand. So this Bumblebee comes with a gun which doesn't want to fit now. It fit the first time I put it in, and something's gone wrong. There we go. So a nice generic little silver painted pistol for Bumblebee, something his toy never had. So I always wished we got a pistol with Bumblebee rather than the ski boat trailer, because that seemed to have not much use for me. Although there was that Action Master Bumblebee with a backpack, sort of the ski boat trailer kind of fit with that, but I think I prefer the pistol. There's been a few good third-party pistols, and this one is on par with most of them, although not truly chromed, just silver painted. With Bumblebee, we get this little Spike Witwicky figure, and if I stand them next to each other, you can see he looks pretty much in scale, I think. He comes with this lunchbox, but unfortunately there's no way for him to hold that. So his hand won't even fit in the gap there, so there's not a good way for Spike to hold that, so it just has to sit next to him. It's a pity he couldn't have been made to hold that. If you look at the sections that have been modified on this Bumblebee, like the back region here, you'll notice that there's no flap. There used to be a flap on the Classics mould that allowed a more solid place for this to peg in, so this has no peg in location, meaning that the overall solidness of this transformation is a bit less than the Classics version of it. But again, I'm just putting it on display. I'm not too upset with that. Also at the front here, you'll notice there's nowhere for this to really peg in, and the neck piece, although it does still peg in here, like this little flap, it is pretty flimsy in the connection it makes, so it can come loose, although it doesn't want to be coming loose now. Taking a closer look at Bumblebee's face, you can see that the head has been remoulded. So he's got pointy little spikes for horns, which he should have. It angles a bit more in at the chin. It's done in a pretty good way. So there's been some third-party heads for Bumblebee, for example, out, which have been about $30 each. So that alone adds a little bit of value to this set. And you could use this head on your Classics mould if you don't like the Art Feather mould. I'm happy with this face. He has a nice shiny silver blue paint over his eyes, which make the eyes pop out a little bit. And I'm really happy to say that the face is smooth. Again, I had seen prototype pictures on the net where the face looked pockmarked, almost like it was 3D printed. Perhaps it was a prototype that was 3D printed. The production face on this Art Feather Bumblebee is just as good as the toy, like a real toy's head. So there's no worries with that. So I bought this for $60 plus shipping off Chumangmang, and you know that felt a little bit steep, to be honest, because we've had tons of knockoff Bumblebee repaints that have been much cheaper than that, but this is more than a repaint. It's got significant moulding, so when you consider the amount of moulding that went into it, I guess $60 is kind of fair. You can see the colour inconsistency between his head and the paint job. That's really unfortunate, and the only really bad thing that I've got to say about the figure. I think it's gone up a little bit since I bought it. I saw it there for $62 the other day. Maybe the demand has been high. I can recommend getting this. I'm happy with it. I don't think this is going to be the definitive Bumblebee. I even think that I like my alternative Bumblebee a bit better than this, but I don't think we're going to get from Hasbro or Takara a Volkswagen Bumblebee anytime soon. So this is a stand-in until a different third party does a kind of fully authentic and unique mould. So this is like a halfway job, but you know the price is not too much in the scheme of third party. So go out and get it if you can spare the $62. This has been Odeean. Thank you for watching my video review of Art Feather Bumblebee.